As a former dancer turned registered dietitian nutritionist, I can attest to a few common traits that, for most, at some point in their training or careers, feel relatable. Self-discipline is one of them. And preliminary research even suggests that a relationship exists between one's degree of self-discipline and some forms of physical activity. For much of my teenage dance years, I could definitely relate. I never needed that external push to get me out and get me to dance class. Same with getting out to cross-train or, and I quote, eating well. And while all of these efforts for much of my life were often praised, they didn't actually support me long-term. I know, because I didn't know it at the time, but my sense of self-discipline was warped. It was rooted in a battle of perfectionism and a misguided sense for what I thought was, and I quote, right.
I'm Rachel Fine, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of To The Point Nutrition. A dancer's performance is a direct result of hard work and motivation. So where does food fit into this? There's a lot of myths and a ton of antiquated ideals, and I'm here to dispel those.
Hi, I'm Rachel Fine. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist here to help dancers just like you learn how to fuel for performance while also building supportive relationships with both your food choices and your bodies. Today, we are talking about the untold reality of dancers and self-discipline. Because let's fast forward a bit. Many years later, now as a former professional dancer, practicing dietitian, and mom, I can tell you that thankfully things are very different. Like many of the dancers whom I now support, I was stuck and struggling to identify the difference between self-discipline and self-care. What felt at the time like a road to success only led me to burnout and injury. Hence why everything I do today at To The Point Nutrition and with The Healthy Dancer is meant to teach dancers how to avoid both of those consequences, injury and burnout. Now today, I'm still that dancer I was during that struggle. And thanks to ballet, I can probably say that I still have the same level of self-discipline. The only difference is that now my perceived self-discipline is defined by me, not by dancer diet culture. My self-discipline is motivated by self-compassion, not by self-control. Self-discipline does not have to be a limiting factor for dancers, nor does it have to be what fuels restrictive eating or exhaustive exercise patterns. And that's because in the context of food, self-discipline backfires. Now, from dancer diet culture, we often hear this as willpower, or one's apparent degree of control around how much or what foods they're eating. But contrary to what we're often told, willpower does not actually support our efforts to resist a certain type of food or amount of food. In fact, there are biological and psychological mechanisms in place that cause our bodies to often override restrictions until basic caloric needs are met. Those needs that often go unmet for those who are trying to abide by restrictive eating patterns and trying to abide by willpower. This is why for anyone who does feel super, and I quote, disciplined around food, a binge and restrict cycle often ensues. Now, side note, there is a subset of dancers who have that ability to stick to very restrictive and regimented food rules for longer. But these are the patterns that build the groundwork for eating disorders. And if you feel like you can relate, it's time to reach out to a licensed professional, a registered dietitian nutritionist like myself. But I get it. I get what you're saying. You might feel best when you are in control. Feeling in control, especially when so much in a dancer's life, like the trajectory of their dance career, feels out of control, can be comforting. But these feelings of comfort are fleeting, especially when restrained eating fails, because it's bound to fail, just as I mentioned earlier. So ask yourself, are those behaviors that you feel in control of actually supporting you emotionally and mentally? Here are a few red flags that might represent the opposite. Obsessing over numbers like body weight or calorie counts, overwhelming stress around ingredients or processed foods, keeping up with exhaustive exercise routines and dance schedules. All of these likely to be very unsupportive. And now I want you to reevaluate what it means for you to feel your best. What are you actually gaining from those obsessive behaviors? What might you lose from also partaking in these excessive behaviors? Most often, it's social connection. It's the ability to enjoy your classes, your food experiences without the comparative mindset. When we shift our food and dance focus from body size manipulation to joy, we uncover more mental space to prioritize other things in life. And this is a major area for growth for all dancers. So rather than attempting to revoke your self-discipline, I want you to redirect it into more productive ways and into more productive behaviors. Let me share some examples. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier each day to support better sleep habits. Stop scrolling before bed. This one's self-explanatory. Perhaps take a social media break, especially if you are feeling overwhelmed by the comparative mindset. Make time for a friend. Make a coffee or a lunch date. Meal prep in a way that feels practical. This might mean building some snacks, a trail mix, some oat bites to take you through the week. One of my favorites, schedule some choice time in your day. All you need is about 15 minutes, but make it unstructured and unplanned. Do an activity that gets you out of the studio, whether it's reading, a craft, whatever it might be. Challenge yourself to do something out of the norm. And another important idea is to practice self-compassion. Take a moment to journal or meditate, reflect and acknowledge that you are making these shifts that can sometimes feel a bit more uncomfortable than you like, but for the obvious reasons of promoting growth and your ability to redirect your self-discipline in a way that's going to support the longevity of your dancing, driving you away from patterns that are increasing your risk to injury and burnout. I have a ton more strategies on this topic, but I want to direct you to my blog where you can read all about them. I'm going to share a link in the show notes. You can always follow up with me for questions. I'm here. I work with dancers within my program, The Healthy Dancer. We can work together to not only build mealtime strategies so that you are adequately fueled, but also to do all of this work in ensuring that your behaviors, both in the studio and out of the studio, are truly supporting you so you are feeling more ease in your dance days and less stress, less overwhelm. Feel free to reach out if you're looking for more support. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.